Hey, geography students, Mr. Narimatsu coming with you with the third assignment number 3. This one we're going to be doing a little bit more literacy, and prepare yourself. This will be a little bit longer of a screencast, not just a little introduction about instructions. You're actually going to be following along with me, so please do. We're going to be using a activity. We're going to be using an extension called Kanvi, and it'll say right here, open assignment with Kanvi. Just to give you guys a heads up, the video that you're watching right now is this one. Says literacy practice on education overview on our 5-day lesson module that's been posted at the very beginning of our class under week 4. If you have any questions about using Kanvi, you should have already used it in the first or second week, but if you're a new student or you have any questions, there's a video from Ms. Riemann that she had created on helping students install Kanvi. And once again, you guys should be accessing this assignment like you see it here through your teacher using Kanvi, not actually doing it outside of Kanvi. So you'll kind of open the assignment with it. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be practicing 3 steps on using Kanvi. It's called how to mark a prompt, how to rewrite the prompt into questions, and organize your thoughts into a written paragraph. And basically, Kanvi is going to be our pencil, and your it's going to be our pencil, and basically the PDF is going to be our piece of paper. And that's what Kanvi is kind of used for. So here we're going to open the assignment here. And we're just going to show you all these items. I'm going to delete these items after we're done here because this is kind of a master copy. I want to make sure that students don't mark it up too much. But this information right here, there's some links in here that you can click when this is updated, which is actually this video, just to make sure you guys understand what's going on. And these are the steps. So step 1 is mark the prompt. Step 2 is rewrite the prompt into question. Step 3 is organize the essay. So as you guys know, we've been learning about the different education systems here in the United States, but also in Korea and Finland. And we're going to have a prompt. What is a prompt? It's basically an essay question. So one important thing that we're going to teach you in this class is writing. And we have a kind of specific step that we do here at Elkhorn Valley High School called step 1, 2, 3. And then we get into the claim, evidence, and reasoning. And if you're saying, wow, that sounds familiar, it sounds like some of my other classes use that, or perhaps some of your 7th or 8th grade teachers have done that. So we're trying to use the same language to help you guys understand how to write. However, each writer writes a little different, right? Poetry is a little bit different than an expository essay, which is as different than a lab report. So despite us trying to have similar language, you are going to see little different nuances, which means little small changes between an English writing and a social science writing and science writing. So we're going to teach you specifically science, but you might hear some words that kind of help you understand how certain parts of English or science writing can apply to social science writing. Okay. Under here, we have this assignment, and there are 3 marks that students use to analyze a prompt. This is the prompt right here. One is a zigzag, where we're going to go ahead and zigzag. So I'll show you how to do a zigzag. Under drawing, I'm going to use the color black because I like doing that. You can go underneath it and actually perform a zigzag. Now, I know that's really bad. So if you're a student that would rather like to, on your key, to go ahead and highlight, I'm pretty sure you can select items like zigzag, color it, and then you can add a highlight, which I'm going to try to figure out and help you guys out. It's probably under markup, right? So I'm going to do the highlight. So let's say you want all zigzag verbs to be yellow, then they're going to turn yellow. And let's say you want all key terms instead of circling. So we're going to circle them. I'm going to try this, this whole using the Kanvi and using this. So I'm going to do circling key terms. But if you're a person that doesn't like to do circles, and you say that's too messy for me, Mr. Narimatsu, sure, you can choose it to use green or whatever color you'd like. It's just you want to make sure that this key is going to match what we do underneath, okay? And then you're going to number and underline, and we'll show you guys how to do those items in a second. So actually, numbering would definitely be probably a text box. And so we would put like right here, number 1. And I would probably actually just mark it up now. So using the markup tool, or sorry, the drawing tool, I just put number 1 here, and then I'd underline. Okay. So I'm going to use markup. For me, it's a little bit easier. We'll insert a text box later when we write the prompt into questions. And then we'll use shapes to organize our thoughts. So let's get into this, guys. So as you guys know, we've been learning about the different education systems. And what we're going to do is we're going to mark the prompt. First, we're going to zigzag directive verbs. And directive verbs are verbs that direct a student on how to write, like analyze, compare, contrast, discuss, describe. We're going to circle key terms. Key terms are usually nouns and content that relates to these items. You're going to see a different version of this, guys, in a second. I apologize for that. It looks like this Kanvi kind of got my old one, but I've updated a new one which has this information, but I'm going to help you out anyways. But key terms are just content. They're like noun verbs that usually relate to the subject that you're currently studying. And lastly, we're going to number and underline the things that the student needs to answer or do according to the prompt. So here we have the word countries, which is a key term. So I'm going to circle that. Countries around the world, right? So now you guys are seeing it. Key terms. Invest in public money for their, I'm going to actually maybe circle. Now notice I circle public money together. Because what type of money is it? Public money. Money that comes from the government through their educational systems, right? Notice I'm putting it sometimes nouns together. Notice I have not yet seen any directive verbs. And because I haven't seen any directive verbs, I most likely won't have any underlines either yet. They usually go together, and you'll see that in a second. However, there are different outcomes for different countries. We already circled countries, so I'm not going to circle it for different reasons. There's not much I'm going to circle there. In a paragraph, okay, I'm going to circle paragraph because now I know a little bit about how I'm supposed to write. I am to, now we're getting to directive verbs, compare and contrast. So these are directive verbs, so I'm going to squiggle it. I'm going to compare and contrast. Now, there are kind of two ways we can number and underline. We can number and underline the directive verbs or the things you want to do. They're kind of usually the same. In this case, I'm going to number the directive verbs because I need to compare, which is to show similarities, but I also need to make sure I show differences. So there's my number 2. All right. And what do I need to compare and contrast? The educational. Now, look how I circle this where it's open, right? This is going to be open over here. Systems of South Korea, Finland, and the United States. Well, I'm missing just one thing, my underline. Well, what am I supposed to write about? I'm supposed to compare and contrast the educational systems of South Korea, Finland, and the United States. So I know this looks kind of bad, and that's okay. Yours may not be as good as mine. If you guys want to do your highlights, you can use it as well. Again, we're just looking for the effort. We know that your guys' penmanship probably is a lot better. Mine is a lot better than what's showing right here. But at the end of this step, yours should be marked exactly like mine. So everything that I'm doing, guys, you guys should be doing exactly the same. Next, we're going to install a text box here, and we're going to try to do this now. So there's my text box. And what we're going to do on this text box is we are going to rewrite the prompt into questions. And these are where our numbers help out. So I know there's a number 1 and a number 2. It looks like there's 2 things. So number 1, compare. We got to figure out what compare means. Compare usually means to tell about the similarities or differences, but this one has contrast, which is differences. So I'm just going to have the word similarities. So I'm going to put this, what are the similarities for number 1? Oops, similarities. And I'm still spelling it wrong. I think I dropped that I is extra, but I'm just going to go ahead and do the whole click and make me look smarter experience. So what are the similarities between the educational systems of South Korea, Finland, and the United States? So I have 2 things. I'm not done, right? Here's number 1. I need to find number 2. Well, 2 is contrast, which are differences. I'm going to put what are the differences? The question mark. So again, here, please go ahead and insert that text box like I did, and please just write the same exact things. If you want to change the size, you can. Over here, font size can get increased bigger if you'd like to. Totally cool. Next, we're going to show you how to do a mind map or a graphic organizer. Right now, we're going to focus on the mind map. In my opinion, as a teacher, it's a little bit easiest for students to do. And the mind map is something that's kind of like with bubbles, right? You guys kind of did this a lot, usually probably in elementary school. But it's a great tool to use to organize our thoughts, right? So now you notice that we're going in steps for a reason. First, we're going to mark the prompt. That helps us give us our questions. Well, after we have our questions, it's a lot easier to create our mind map. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to start with a few circles. First thing we're going to do is we're going to have a circle in the middle. And in here, this circle in the middle, we have got to figure out what the main topic is. And I think you guys are seeing the main topic, right? The main topic that comes out is that we are supposed to be comparing and contrast South Korea, Finland, and the United States. Well, what about them? Well, it's about their education systems, right? How they're similar or different, right? We're gonna move that box right in the middle. Next, we're gonna get another shape. And this one is gonna be a circle. Again, now we have to figure out, what do we have to do with the education systems? Oh yeah, we have to talk about the similarities. All right, so over here, one of the things of the education system that I'm gonna write about are the similarities. So I'm gonna insert a text box over here. And write similarities. Now you'll notice in a second, to make this a true mind map, I'm going to connect these. So there's me not being able to spell that word again, right? My apologies. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to drawing, and I am just going to connect these with a line. Okay? So here we're going to talk about all the different similarities, and we'll have those little boxes come up in a second. Okay? Now, if you just want to put one text box and just write the similarities, that totally makes sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these, and I'm going to delete these away. Again, showing you guys, if you guys make a mistake, theoretically, you should be able to delete these mistakes. Well, deleted everything. And that happens. What I'm going to do probably now, guys, is just have a text box underneath. So let's go ahead and figure out what were the different similarities. So some of the similarities were that they all use tax money for education. Right, they all had a government in which the tax money was used. I'm going to reduce the size here, guys. Make it a little bit smaller so that I can see what's going on. Or I have a little bit more room to write more information. Another thing is they all had stakeholders involved, right? It's different amounts, though, right? Sometimes principals were a little bit more involved in one situation, or parents didn't seem to really be involved in the Finnish video. So they all had stakeholders involved, right? And those stakeholders were like the parents, the teachers, the students, right? Students were given materials. Cool. They all seem safe, right? Sweet. So these are all the things that we're going to have for similarities. Next, we are going to draw another line. But this one's going to be a little bit different because we need to have a few different shapes here. So first of all, yeah, we got our circle, but in this case, we already did similarities over here. What do we need over there? I hope you guys are all screaming out, differences. And I'm like, yep, that's exactly it. So here we're going to write differences. Now in this case, we really have to separate the three different countries. Okay, so I'm going to add some. This one will be for Finland. So for Finland, which is different than these other ones, and that's why you have three different branches. Finland teachers are recruited and paid more than doctors and lawyers. Right? They're really focused on having great teachers. Okay? I'm going to see if I can copy this. I did a Control-C, and I'm going to put Control-V. Ooh, that didn't work, but it kind of did, because it gave me a text box without having to do text boxes. Your guys' commands, Control-Cs and Control-Vs, can make your life go a lot faster. All right, down here, let's talk about South Korea. South Korea, its difference was that students were put under immense pressure, right? And this was resulting in like a higher suicide rate. It was resulting in a lot of different problems that were happening. Okay, I'm gonna hit Control-V. I'll probably get YouTube again. Sweet, that works. I don't care. I'm gonna make this one for the United States. So in the United States, you know, one thing that it talked about multiple times, it says that has more poverty in children than other places. Right? They really talk about how poverty and kind of differences and cultural and language differences which I believe makes the United States very strong, and going back to last week about community identity makes it awesome. But nonetheless, it creates some obstacles from there. So if you'd like to add more, you can, but we can stop right there. So now we have organized our essay, right? We've gone from step one, what is the prompt, to what are the questions? And from the questions, we said, well, we need to talk about the similarities. So here's about similarities, but we also need to talk about the differences. And here are the differences, okay? Now, write your completed paragraph below. So down here, we are going to insert another text box. And this one's going to be really big because it's going to be a paragraph, okay? And I'll make this a little bit bigger. So under the text box, we're going to go ahead and make it 16, make it a little bit bigger. And I lost it because I wasn't typing, but nonetheless, there you go. Practice one more time. We're going to hit space 5 times. Apologize for that. And we're going to start off with something called the topic sentence. Now, the topic sentence is real easy. All you have to do is really look at your circles, right? These circles. Don't look at these typed out answers yet, because that'll be our next, right? We're going to teach you 3 parts of this paragraph today. We're going to teach you a topic sentence. We're going to show you which is going to have your claim. We're going to have your evidence and reasoning underneath it. In other words, why these are similar and why are they different. And then lastly, we're going to have a concluding sentence. So again, one topic sentence, many, many, many details, which is going to be your answers here, and then a concluding sentence. And again, you guys can just copy exactly what I'm doing and turn this into your teacher. So I'm doing all your work for you guys for your guys' tests. This is just an introduction on how to write. So the first thing is a topic sentence. We need to introduce the topic. What is this about? This is about the education systems, that they have similarities and differences. Well, what education systems? Oh yeah, the ones of Finland, South Korea, and United States. So I'm going to put Finland, United States, South Korea, differences, education systems, and similarities all in one sentence. And that's going to be my topic sentence. So the education systems of South Korea, Finland, and the United States have many similarities. Oh boy, I ran with that word. Oh, look, I'm learning. And differences. I can't spell differences. 2 F's, not 2 R's. Cool. So I'm done with my first sentence. Hey, that was easy. There's a topic sentence. How did I get that? Looking at these circles, right? The bigger ideas, right? Now I'm going to go into the details. Now, what did I give up first? Did I say similarities or differences? I said similarities. So I'm just going to use these and put these into sentences. In all 3 countries, they used tax money for education. They all had stakeholders who were involved, and all students were given materials. Now, remember that in South Korea they had to pay for their tutoring, but nonetheless, they were all given materials inside of public education. Am I done with this essay or this paragraph yet? Absolutely not. I have not talked about the differences. So let's look at the differences. There were also many differences. And if some of you guys are like, hey, that kind of sounds like a topic sentence again, Mr. Amatsu. Yeah, it's kind of like what we call a transitional sentence within this body paragraph, or within this paragraph. So there were also many differences. In Finland, teachers were recruited and paid more than doctors and lawyers. In South Korea, students were put under immense, which means a lot of pressure, especially because of standardized tests. Lastly, the United States has more children in poverty, with 20% of all students considered poor. Cool. It's not cool about that last stat, but nonetheless, cool, we're almost done with this essay, correct? Or this paragraph in this case. Now, we have provided our claim. Hey, there's similarities and differences. We have given some evidence and reasoning. Hey, here they are. This is how they're the same. And here are how they're all different. And here's my evidence to show that they're different. I am not done. I have to write one more sentence as a concluding sentence, which is basically taking this first sentence and putting it in past tense, saying this: these were the similarities and differences between the education systems of the United States, South Korea, and Finland. You can also add another statement, some kind of connection, some kind of thing to hold your claim. And you can, I say this is kind of what we call aha moment. Some teachers call it drop the mic moment. So I could say something like, despite these differences, all countries agree and provide resources on the importance of education, right? And why as teachers are we teaching you guys this? So we want you to feel that education and what we're doing right now is super important. All right, guys. Well, I know that was a little bit longer of a screencast than we're used to, but this is your first steps towards literacy. So just as a heads up, what did we do? We had a thing called a prompt, which was an essay question. We marked the prompt by zigzagging, directive verbs, circling our key terms, and numbering and underlining what we really need to do. Then when we're done, we really paid attention to the what we need to do part, the numbers and the underlines, and we wrote that part of the prompt into questions. So instead of having this word compare and contrast, we wrote, what are the similarities between the education systems of South Korea, Finland, and the United States? Hey, and what are the differences? We then took those two questions to develop a mind map that helps us organize our idea and organize our thoughts. After that, we wrote one paragraph where the first sentence was a topic sentence. It was followed, which provides our claim that there are similarities, but there are also differences between all these. Then we provided evidence and reasoning to why there were similarities and differences. We lastly restated our claim and then even gave another further aha concluding moment about why it's important that we studied what we just studied. So guys, this is kind of the creation of a perfect paragraph in the first quarter of our class. We are going to go ahead and just focus on paragraph writing. But in the next quarter, we're actually going to move on to essay writing. So we'll see how we can transform this into introductions and conclusions and body paragraphs. At a certain level, we kind of already did. This is kind of like your introduction or thesis. This would be kind of your body paragraphs with answers. And this is kind of your conclusion and your synthesis or aha moment, if you know what that means. If not, don't worry. We're going to teach you here soon. All right, guys. Well, really big step. Thank you guys for following along. Hopefully you enjoy Kanvi. Hopefully you'll enjoy how this helps us organize our thoughts, and hopefully it makes your writing a lot easier. A lot of students leave our classes going, I understand that writing's a lot more simpler than it was, and I think it just takes a couple moments to break down exactly what you need to write about, and just give yourself a moment to organize your thoughts. A lot of students just kind of jump into it, and they don't know what the question is asking them, and they don't know how to organize their thoughts, and if they don't need to do that, they kind of sit there and stall. I'm sure that's happened to you, where you don't know where to start, right? Well, if you organize your thoughts, it's really easy to start. You start with the bubbles and move out to the answers. All right, guys, thanks again. Make sure to turn this item in. If you copied me word for word, that's A-okay. This is your first time on doing a literacy assessment, so go for it. All good. All right, guys, we'll talk to you soon. I just noticed I keep on looking at the corner because I see myself in the corner, but I should be looking here. Sorry about that. See, I'm doing it again. All right, guys, take care. Bye.